Thanks for watching my video. Y&R Spoilers revealed that the atmosphere in Adam and Chelsea's penthouse apartment seemed to thicken, as heavy as the secrets Adam was trying so hard to hide. But before the anxious, probing gaze of the woman he loved, Adam could no longer remain silent. He decided to lift the veil on Victor Newman's latest cruel plan. A plan not just about money or power, but one that struck at the most vulnerable point of all, family. When Adam confessed that his father, Victor, was scheming to use Lily Winters and the twins, Mattie and Charlie, as pawns in a deadly game, the air around Chelsea seemed to collapse. She could not believe her ears when she heard that Victor planned to take them hostage, not in the literal sense of a typical kidnapping for ransom, but as a much more subtle and brutal psychological torture. A wave of disgust surged within Chelsea as Victor's monstrous nature revealed itself once again, raw and unmasked. To her, as a mother who had weathered countless storms to protect Connor, the idea of dragging innocent children and a woman into this power struggle was a red line that could never be crossed. The thought of Lily and her children being turned into tools to help Victor achieve his goals made Chelsea shudder. She felt a strong, almost instinctive urge to do something to stop this crime before it could unfold. A bold and dangerous idea flashed through her mind to expose Victor. She imagined a scenario where Victor would face the law for kidnapping, or at the very least, for conspiring to endanger others. It was the instinctual response of someone who wanted to protect justice, but also the resistance of a daughter-in-law who was tired of being manipulated by her father-in-law. However, Adam quickly pulled her back to the grim reality of the plan. He explained that the situation was much more complicated than it appeared. Chelsea, with her sharp instincts, immediately raised the question of whether Victor was the one behind all three abductions. Her question struck at the heart of the issue, forcing Adam to admit a twisted truth. Their ultimate target was Cain Ashby. To manipulate Cain, to break his spirit, they had to create the perfect illusion. Adam confessed that they needed to make Cain believe that his family and the children were truly hanging by a thread. It was a psychological game where the victim's trust would be the deadliest weapon. Chelsea listened to these justifications, her heart heavy with despair. If achieving this goal required convincing Lily, Mattie, and Charlie that their lives were in danger, then to her, it was not just a bad idea. It was inhumane. She tried to explain to Adam the cruelty of instilling terror into someone's mind, even though Adam tried to reassure her with the argument that Victor didn't actually intend to harm Lily or the children physically, that it was all just an illusion of danger. Chelsea could not accept this logic. As a mother, Chelsea understood that psychological wounds could often be more painful and long-lasting than physical ones. Creating a kidnapping scenario, making children believe they were about to die, or making a mother believe she couldn't protect her child, was one of the most barbaric forms of mental torture. For Chelsea, the line between illusion and reality in this case was far too thin. The mere fact that Victor and Adam were willing to create such a terrifying illusion for their own purposes was an unforgivable act. It showed Victor Newman's utter disregard for human emotions, and painfully, it seemed Adam was being pulled into that dark vortex. Chelsea looked at Adam, the man she was trying to rebuild a life with, and saw the shadow of Victor weighing heavily on him. The internal conflict within her reached its peak. On one hand, she wanted to protect Adam, to keep her family safe and at peace. On the other, her conscience could not allow her to stand by and watch innocent people like the Ashby family endure such unspeakable fear simply because of the Newmans' greed. She questioned Adam, not just about the plan, but about their humanity in playing this game. What did winning mean if it was built on the trauma of children? The silence between them was not one of peace, but the calm before a storm of conscience that was waiting to erupt. Chelsea realized that, even if Victor did not pull the trigger, the act of pointing an empty gun at someone's head and making them believe it was loaded was just as ruthless as that of a murderer. The atmosphere inside Adam and Chelsea's luxurious penthouse seemed to drain all the air out, leaving a suffocating vacuum that was almost unbearable. The warm golden light of the evening couldn't chase away the coldness spreading from the very story Adam had just uttered. He stood there, the glass of wine in his hand now empty, but the drunkenness wasn't enough to numb the conscience that was tearing him apart. Across from him, Chelsea Lawson sat motionless, her eyes wide open in disbelief, as if she had just witnessed a monster materialize right in her living room. Adam had just revealed to her Victor Newman's latest masterpiece in his strategy. It wasn't a company merger nor a financial attack on a competitor. It was a plan to use people as tools, specifically Lily Winters and the twin children, Mattie and Charlie. Victor planned to make them hostages in his chess game. When Adam spoke those names, Chelsea felt as if an invisible hand was squeezing her heart. Lily, a woman who had already endured so much pain, and the innocent children, Mattie and Charlie, who were at the most beautiful age of their lives, were now being seen by Victor as mere pawns on his ruthless chessboard. In Chelsea's mind, the image of Victor Newman had never been that of a saint, but she never imagined he could sink so low into the abyss of inhumanity. The cruelty didn't lie in the blade or the barrel of a gun, but in the cold calculation. Victor was willing to trample on the safety, the peace, and even the lives of a family just to achieve his goal of control. To Chelsea, a mother who had fought the world to protect Connor's emotional stability, this act by Victor was an unforgivable offense against the very word family. She looked at Adam, hoping to see some disgust in his eyes, but all she saw was resignation and a desperate attempt to rationalize his father's actions. A fiery anger erupted within Chelsea, burning away the patience she had tried so hard to maintain since reconciling with Adam. She stood up suddenly, pacing the room like a wounded animal searching for a way out. The thought of Victor imprisoning people illegally, stripping others of their freedom, made her blood boil. She couldn't just sit idly by and let it happen. In her mind, plans began to form, scenarios where she stood before the law, accusing Victor Newman of his crimes. She imagined the police raiding the Newman estate, handcuffing the most powerful man in Genoa City for kidnapping. It was a crazy, dangerous thought, but it was the only response her conscience allowed her in that moment. I won't let him do this, Adam. This is a crime. This is savagery, the voice inside her screamed. Even though she was trying to keep her voice low so as not to wake Connor, she questioned Adam, each word like a sharp dagger. She wanted the raw truth. Was Victor the mastermind behind all three of the recent mysterious kidnappings? Was he the godfather pulling the strings behind these tragedies? Faced with Chelsea's determination, Adam was forced to step back and confess another twisted truth. One that he hoped would calm her anger but in reality only poured more fuel on the fire. He explained that they weren't literally kidnapping anyone. The goal wasn't to hurt Lily or the children. The goal was Kane Ashby. They needed Kane to believe that his family was in danger. They needed to create a spectacle. A perfect performance to the point where Kanuho held secrets Victor desperately wanted would collapse in fear. Adam's confession was like a bucket of cold water thrown in Chelsea's face. But it didn't wake her up, it only made her feel a chill to her very core. Adam was talking about psychological manipulation. He was talking about sowing fear. If this plan required making Lily, Mattie, and Charlie believe in that danger, then, to Chelsea, it was even more malicious than a real kidnapping. Chelsea looked deep into Adam's eyes, trying to find the man she loved. But all she saw was the shadow of Victor looming over him. She trembled and responded, her voice breaking from disappointment. Adam, do you even realize what you're saying? You're going to make a mother believe that her child is about to die? You're going to make children believe they're being hunted? Adam tried to justify that Victor didn't intend to physically harm them, that it was just an illusion, a psychological trick. But to Chelsea, it was a terrible idea, a brutal form of mental torture. She understood that wounds on the skin could heal, but the terror of believing that she and her loved ones were close to death would leave permanent scars on the soul. Mattie and Charlie were far too young to bear such a psychological burden. Lily had already endured too much loss to be dragged into this twisted game. The conversation between them reached a deadlock. Chelsea realized a painful truth. To Victor Newman and now Adam as well, people were just numbers, mindless tools to achieve a goal. They believed that not causing physical pain meant they were being merciful. But they were wrong. Creating an illusion of danger, stealing the sense of safety from a family was an act of violence. Chelsea shuddered as she imagined Lily panicking, desperately trying to protect her children from the invisible enemies that Victor had created. She envisioned the fearful eyes of Mattie and Charlie as they believed their lives were under threat. This was not business strategy, this was the destruction of humanity. Victor might not pull the trigger, but he was pointing a gun even if it was a fake on eat the heads of innocent people, and smiling as they trembled. And the most painful part for Chelsea was not Victor's cruelty, but the fact that a damn father of her child was complicit, accepting this twisted logic as something necessary. The room fell into silence, but it was a silence of a crack about to split wide open. Chelsea realized that her fight was not just to protect Lily or the children, but a fight to reclaim Adam's soul from Victor's darkness. But in the face of this cold plan, she wondered if she was fighting in vain. Just the fact that Victor could come up with and Adam could accept this cruel illusion was enough to make Chelsea feel sickened by the world she was living in. We, the loyal audience of The Young and the Restless, are probably all too familiar with Victor Newman's schemes. But this time, it feels like the screenwriters are pushing the characters' boundaries too far, reaching the depths of callousness. The use of children and a family's fear as a lever of power is a detail that not only creates drama, but also evokes pity in the viewer. What bothers me most isn't Victor's cruelty because that's his nature but Adam's position. Adam is caught between two opposing forces. On one side, the love and kindness that Chelsea offers, and on the other, the overwhelming shadow and manipulation of his father. In this segment, Chelsea isn't just the voice of reason. She represents our own emotions, the audience's. Her outrage is justified. Watching this, I wondered if Adam would ever truly escape the curse of Newman, or if he would forever have to compromise with the worst things to gain his father's approval. And would Chelsea's love be strong enough to pull him out of this moral quagmire, or would she herself be swallowed up by it? It's a tragedy of those who want to be good in a world run by ruthless people. In the world of The Young and the Restless, we are often drawn into the glitzy intrigues and high society power struggles. But this script exposes a raw and painful aspect, the price of manipulation. I was particularly haunted by the detail of the illusion of danger in psychology. Making someone believe they are in life-threatening danger can cause psychological trauma, no different from a real event. Victor Newman in this script appears not as a ruthless businessman, but as a psychological terrorist. He doesn't need to stain his hands with blood, he uses fear to break Kane's will. That is the height of cruelty. As for Chelsea, I sensed her profound loneliness. She represents the remaining human in that cold penthouse. Her resistance isn't just for Lily or the twins, but for Adam himself. She is desperately screaming to awaken her husband's conscience. Tragically, Adam seems so imprisoned in his father's shadow that he begins to see cruelty as a rational strategy. This scene isn't just a plot twist. It's a major moral question for the audience. Can we justify evil if it doesn't? Chelsea's answer is no. And that's what makes her character shine brightly amidst the Newman family's scheming and grim reality. I believe this conflict will set the stage for a larger, irreparable rift between Chelsea and Adam in the future, as their moral boundaries become too different. On our TV Spoilers channel, I always seek content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in The Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting perspectives. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about The Young and the Restless series.